How are you, boys?
I'm
Awesome.
very good, mate. How are you?
Well, here it is, the last one for the year. This is the Lad podcast for 2019. Time's been flying. We're already close to the last, 10 days of the year.
Is it 10 to go still?
It's almost a countdown now, isn't it? Unbelievable.
I'm counting in work days, which is 3. I think 3 to go.
Yeah, I think so, mate.
I'm counting 10, mainly because, even 11 maybe, but that's the days of our lives, isn't it? Yeah. Work is only part of it. What about the other days? What? Chuck them in the bin or pay attention to them? That's
Absolutely.
The thing,
They're the in-between days, the field days, which we call our time off, is the days that we make a life.
Yeah, I did a podcast with you 2 days ago on the greatest guy on the planet. So that'll be coming out, I think, as we speak right now. But the one thing I really liked about what you've done this year, you actually took this week off for your children because there's end of school, there's all of these things. Yeah. I just don't know how many people would do that, taking the last week of their children's schooling in order to go there. Man, he doesn't believe in it. No. But I thought there was something to mention.
Bludger.
Thanks, man. No, it's, the kids, they're not with us for a long time. I think they're borrowed or lent to us. They're not ours. Yep. They're on a loan to us, and they're going to leave us one day. So we need to make the most of it while they're with us.
That's good.
And even this afternoon, I'm off to a dance concert. So the first of 2 for the end of this year.
What is it, Isabella?
Isabella's dance concert, this afternoon.
She's competing or she's...
it's just a concert. It's not a competition.
How nice is that? You see it? That's
you
cool.
look fresh, though, man. So you've been off this week?
Yeah. So I've been working around outside, spending some time with Sebastian. He's been helping me around the yard, which I've been loving. He hasn't, but I've been loving it.
Yep. All right,
Crazy,
boys.
man.
Let's start this wine and wisdom. Where are we? Which bottle are we going to try first?
We'll go with the
I reckon
flow,
we're going to have to go to
I
white
only
first.
got one bottle of white.
Yep, let's do it.
Ernest Hill, Hunter Valley, Alexander Chardonnay 2017. It's their award-winning Chardonnay. Thomas and I, we visited Ernest Hill on the weekend for our Christmas party. What did you think of the place, mate?
I thought it was very, very nice. For a small winery that does only sell all their bottles to the people up there and the restaurant up there, that was just crazy. It's like a family thing, They really resisted going big. Mind you, now I think they would like to go big because they've just realized, hold on, we're in here for good times, but also maybe for good profit. Yeah. Very good product.
Yeah, right.
Very good product.
Beautiful nice colour to it.
And so this one is the Alexander one,
This is the Alexander. This is our special reserve Chardonnay.
Yep.
Crystal and I have been aware of this wine for a few years now, probably since 2017, as the bottle would suggest. But I'm glad to share it with you guys because it's 100% one of our favourites.
Yeah, thanks, man. Actually, they don't even allow you to taste this one anymore.
No, we couldn't. I had to buy 73 bottles of it, apparently.
73 cases, no?
Thanks, darling.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to let us taste it. I said, I'll buy a box. I thought a box meant 6, apparently.
No, I mean, old system, not the new system. It's all about the safe working load, lifting load.
Oh, we got plenty for Christmas anyway.
That's good.
TL's invited, mate. I don't know about you.
Oh, well.
Well, but I think we're seeing each other at Chris's place.
Yeah.
I invited him too. Well, I thought I was special.
Don't you worry, man. There's going to be a few bottles we'll finish.
Come down for a drink.
Yeah, good. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys down.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're fresh, mate. I'm not. I'm knackered. I've caught December.
Did you caught December today?
I've caught December. I've got a mild case of December. There's some people around me who've got a much, much more severe case of December.
Are you seeing people go into that holiday mode earlier in the year and some people don't?
I don't know if it's holiday mode, mate. I don't know.
Or just
I don't know what we can say. Mental comes to mind. Everyone is just nuts.
Right. Okay. When you say everyone within the office and at home?
Oh, just everywhere, mate. Everything
is
full on, man.
Okay.
Probably not sapping. You just need to put a lot more energy in at this time of year, I find.
Yeah, right. Okay. So.
Especially with the eyes.
Yeah.
Pretty bad, even for everybody. It looks like life has gone to a standstill for a lot of people. Like as we speak right now, Stephen Thompson has been evacuated from his own house.
Wow.
Yeah, I meant to show you that
video. He's in Richmond, right?
No, well, he lives now in Lower Bound Mountains with Lisa.
Right.
And Kiri's sister had to move yesterday.
Wow.
And they think that tomorrow the entire Bound Mountains is going to go.
So I'm pretty sure that's the same fire. That's how crazy it is. That's the same fire that's threatening us.
Absolutely.
That's a big front, man.
We're in different planets. Yeah. Well, I drove out. I was going to show Thomas a video earlier. I'll show you after. But we were worried that one of our acreage listings had gone. We knew the lady was safe, but we didn't know about the house. We drove out there yesterday. Every single piece of earth in a 15-kilometre radius, absolute charcoal. But our for sale sign in the house, still right as rain, mate. But Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I won't whinge too much about being tired because there's some people going through
Absolutely.
some absolutely horrific stuff at the moment.
And even in the Hunter Valley in the afternoon, we could smell the smoke. That was pretty bad.
I don't know if you realise it was actually just on the other side of that mountain range. That's why the
That's just
helicopters were
crazy.
coming over. I had a look the next day, and we were probably only 5 k's from it.
Yeah,
mate.
well, there's something about the Hunter Valley for you. I've been to the Hunter Valley probably over 30 years now. I have never seen that many coppers on the road. Instead of going out there, helping maybe with the fire,
Yeah, I agree.
they were happy to give tickets to people who were happy, just enjoying themselves a little bit around Christmas.
Go and fight a fire.
I've seen 4
Yeah.
just in the winery. I've never seen one in my life.
Wow.
And here there's 4 of them, right? And there's people telling me, yeah, well, man, up here they're now actually hiding around stop signs. If you don't stop, they give you a ticket. I was traveling along Broke Road, the main road. And what do I see? This lady with a Santa Claus cap just got caught. The copper had one of those red test machine. And I'm thinking, she's gone. It was about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3:30.
So
yeah.
she's probably coming back from some Christmas party on the road that she's thinking, hold on, this is tourist thing. Every winery is getting you to taste stuff.
Yep.
No winery has got one of those.
Breathalyzers.
Yeah. And you guys are here when there's a fire threatening houses around the road. Maybe you should go and do something more useful. That's the only thing I have. So I think that the Hunter Valley is going to be probably a while before I go there, unless I can get into one of those self-driven or self-drive car. You get in, you can get pissed, the car drives you there, and then
We
you
had a
stop.
bus for you, mate, but you didn't want to get on the wheels on the bus.
What about on the way back? No, I didn't want to. Did you see what was on the bus?
I was there, brother.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually enjoying myself in my car. It was comfortable.
I think there's a few videos floating around.
Oh, no.
The bus was fine.
Let's try
Cheers
this.
to Alexander.
Cheers. Cheers to the end of
2009.
2019,
Yeah,
boys. How good is this? Yeah?
And that butter. Oh, it's good. Needs to be, it's actually the right temperature. That I was worried we weren't going to get it cold enough, but it's a bit nicer, a bit warmer, that one, isn't it? It was delicious.
Oh, that is good.
So
What are you-
what's going on with December? Is everyone sick?
Well, I've labelled it just December now. I'm likening it to a disease. Some people have dropped dead because they've seen the finish line and come a cropper, and other people are, my tolerance levels have disappeared. I've got no room left for
Maybe you
anything
need
at
a
the
break,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in the staff. They're all, I guess you call it holiday mode, but they're all running around like maniacs and trying to keep that a lid on that for another few days. And same old in the market. I mean, deals are still, they're no harder or easier to put together than they were before, but it just seems that everywhere you turn, either people are knackered, people are sick, or people are bonkers, mate. It's full on.
I think it's that finish line that people look at, that Christmas break, the finish line at the Christmas break that people look at.
Yep.
They get towards that finishing line and they start to say, take the foot off the accelerator. This is what I've worked all year to sort of get to, which is a little bit sad in reality, working for one day or a few days off.
I thought I was coming into Christmas fresh. Like, I know we spoke about burnout and that a few weeks ago, and I'd sort of come out of it and was feeling fresh, but we just put 5 staff on. So, and they all started the same week or within a week of each other.
Have you got a shutdown period?
Saturday, but we've just also put a whole bunch of new stock on the market, so I plan on having the phones running to me over the holidays and sell if you can. But
Back on the 6th?
that's the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's a funny time of year, and obviously with extra load with staff and managing that and everyone getting accustomed to that, that's an energy drain as well. So I went from thinking I was going to run into Christmas not needing a break to driving to Cronulla for 3 hours this morning just to get out. I know TL's got a theory on December. He doesn't think it's a December thing, but yours is.
No, I don't have
When
a
you
theory.
explained it to me the other day.
I don't have a theory. A lot of people, they
People's
get so
bodies.
stressed
Yeah.
during the year, and more so, because I think life is more and more demanding. And when it's December, there's a release. And I think it's a time when the body is saying, well, maybe it's time not to look after you. Here's some of the toxins you've been gathering along the year. Veronique, for many years, was always sick in December, badly. Like, she spent times in hospital, emergency, the entire Christmas. And that is the one thing that I've noticed. We have to really make sure that life is not about working 11 months just to relax 1 month. You have to look after life like it's a marathon, not a 100-meter dash. I've always been professing, even though I myself have been a victim of it this year, where every quarter, I think that one should really take a week off, really reset one's mind and do something totally different. And this year I made a mistake. Right after the leadership seminar in Fiji, I should have stayed. No, instead I took off home straight away because there were quite a few things still to do. And that really got my energy. Really, by about November, it was really hard not to take things a bit personally.
So do you think neglecting that break, neglecting yourself, neglecting I think we spoke about it before, the recharge time, the you time, affected you those months later in November?
Yes, I think mainly because I do take things quite personally, and if there's a lot of challenges with some leaders, but they become my challenges, and so I haven't had an outlet.
Okay.
Some people do have an outlet. Maybe a sports can do it for them. For me, sometimes the outlet is just switch the engine off.
Okay.
Just do something totally different.
As you said, even Formula One cars turn off overnight, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So then, straight after the awards night, you took off to see Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
And you spoke about trying some wines that we didn't get to taste with you.
Yeah.
But, so that was your recharge time? That was your turn-off time?
No, that was not a recharge, man. You don't recharge when you go over there. There's no recharge there. As I got there, my job was to make sure that Mum and Dad had everything they needed.
Okay.
As I said, one of the things that we have with our parents is that with every single year that goes by, they're getting older. The physical side starting to deteriorate, sometimes the mental side too, and more often or not, the elderly quite often are pushed onto the side. It takes a huge heart of a great united family to really keep them still in the center. So I was really doing everything to make sure that they got everything right. For example, even with Dad now, as I said, I'm using walkie-talkie. That's why I got myself back onto an iWatch. So I can walkie-talkie with him straight away. And for him, that's an important thing because he can spend almost a whole day just with Mum or by himself.
So then if that wasn't a time for you then to recharge for that period, what have you done intermittently then to sort of get that energy
Not enough
back?
because he's cranky. That's what I said.
I'm cranky because there's idiots around me still. But the big thing is you can't really relieve yourself. I obviously try to do a few things, but it's not 2 or 3 hours, man.
You need a state of nothingness, yeah?
And then and since I've been back too, the jet lag really still got to be, but I still had things to do. I just finished some goal session with people. I had to do recruit training. So things are still happening at full speed, and you can't afford jet lag.
No. You need that state of nothingness. For you, I think it's bonsai. When you're chopping your bonsai tree, nothing's going on between the ears, right?
There's a lot there.
Not that there's a lot going on between your ears anyway, but in that case. And for me, I joke about the PlayStation, but when I'm trying to keep the car on the track, there's nothing else going on between the ears, and that refreshes you. And I think, that's the thing for TL. He needs time where there's nothing going on between the ears except for kids in the pool and lazy Sundays.
Bonsai,
when he hasn't had
in
enough
a good
of
bottle.
It. Yeah, in a good bottle, yeah.
Bonsai for me really it's a time to work out issue. It's a really contemplate on things that have happened and things I want to do, and I really it gives me thinking time because for me now bonsai is automated. I don't have to think about what I'm doing so much.
That's exercise for people too. When you're trotting along running 10 kilometres an hour, you're not thinking. You're just 1 foot in front of the other. And that, even though I think you're an idiot for trying to run 10 kilometres, that's the downtime your brain needs. Yes, your body's not getting a physical rest, but it's all mental. All this stuff we're talking about, this December that I'm talking about, it's a mental thing.
So that 2 weeks that people have been looking forward to, is that maybe then a lack of awareness for themselves to be at that point going, I'm so close to the finish line, whether they close for a 2 week period, a week period, or just take those few days off over Christmas to spend it with loved ones. Is that them not realising maybe that they need it during the year?
Maybe sometimes it's not realizing, but more often than not for a lot of people, it's because they can't afford to stop.
Yeah, right.
They can't afford to slow down. I mean, I've had some goal settings over the last few days with mothers who wake up at 5 and run all day. Mothers who said to me, my Sunday is cooking every single meal for the week because I don't know when I'm coming home from work.
Yeah, right.
Some nights I'm home at 10 and the 3 kids still have to eat and the husband still has to feed himself. So imagine 2019, 2018, all you do on your Sundays is cooking and prep for the entire week.
You know what? And as much as we think we do a lot around the house and so forth, I think our wives still do so much more than ourselves.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm here to dig holes. Let's dig. Let's go. Speak for yourself.
Well, let's not get into that.
No.
But
I think you think about the year we've had too, though, like us three in real estate. It was nearly 2 years. You think of the last 2 years we've had. We had a period at the start of this year where it was still a very, very hard grind for a lot of people.
It was tough.
It was really tough. And then straight out of tough, things turned around, but you couldn't take a break then because you had to take advantage of the turnaround to make up for the 6 month grind you had. And I look back over my year, I couldn't have had any more time. I don't feel and it sort of goes to what you were saying, can't afford to. Fiji, we flew in the night of and flew out the night of instead of staying for a couple of weeks because we couldn't have that 2 weeks. That was right on the turn, and we've survived. Now we've got to cash in on that hard work. I think we did bloody well to survive, but man, the toll it takes on you, and you don't realise until you stop or until it got to October for me, and then back again. But mate, as an industry and as people in our network and as three mates, we've been through a fuckload this year. So
yeah.
It's no wonder everyone except you's feeling buggered, mate.
So what do people think they should be doing now? If we were talking to people right now, obviously the next 2-3 weeks, it's going to be a lot of rest for them. But really, there's going to be a lot of New Year resolution. They're going to take a look at 2019, and they're probably going to aim for some New Year resolutions, either because they're fed up or they've got a foresight and know exactly where the problem is going to come up unless they change their ways. So you guys believe in New Year resolutions?
You know, and until I got into real estate, I did. And I set one every year by 2 weeks. If it reached 2 weeks, it was over. And I think that's why most of these fitness first places, the gyms and so forth, have their highest membership intake at the beginning of the year. And by March, the gyms are almost empty again because people have that expectation that they need to set a New Year's resolution, but don't really have the understanding of how to carry that goal through, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a believer. I actually did a session with this team yesterday on their New Year's resolutions in air quotes. There's a couple of things that trigger me on it. If you feel like you need to change something, why are you waiting till the new year to start putting that in process?
100%.
Okay, so that's one. And two, a New Year's resolution, instead of making life hard for you, actually makes it easier to quit altogether because, and I use the analogy of donuts, right? If I say 2020, I'm not going to eat any donuts, and then 24th of January, I eat a donut, what's the response? Oh, fuck it, I've had a donut now, so I might as well have 10,000 donuts, right? It goes out the window. Not only does it go out the window, we go stupid on the other end because we failed. And we beat ourselves up and we feel like shit. And not only do we not fix the problem that we were trying to fix, we can make it worse in a lot of senses. So my theory is go in with intentions. Set intentions for yourself for something that you want to be better at. Look through 2019, look at your calendar, pick out the points where things weren't going the way you wanted them to go and you felt bad or like shit. Look at the points where things were great and you were at your peak. For 2020, book in more of those things when you were at your peak and at your great, and for 2020, work on those areas where you felt bad and find them, set an intention around them, and then go looking for tools on how to achieve that. Because it's all right saying I want to be better at time management in 2020, but that saying it doesn't make it so. So what tools do I need to garner to be better at time management in 2020? So what I trained the team on Wednesday was sit down for 10 minutes. You can't do it in 10 minutes. Reflect on your year. Reflect on what you would hope to be better at next year, and then write a list of what tools you think you need to start achieving that. You want to be better at negotiating. What tools are you going to need? What book are you going to need? What X, Y, and Z? And I think that way, if my intention is to not eat donuts, but I have one, I go, fuck, I had a donut today, but you know what? I didn't have 10. And all of a sudden, instead of it being a negative, it's a positive, and you can keep going. It's much more sustainable. It's much less self-loathing. It doesn't trigger the failure.
Doesn't hurt your self-esteem so much, and you, like you said, you're not so much failing at your goal. You just had to hit a speed hump and continue on your journey, right?
Well, to stick to a New Year's resolution needs a really strong habit, yeah?
Yep.
And if we need that New Year's resolution, chances are we aren't very good at our habits to begin with. So to expect it to go January 1st on
0
fixed
to 100, yeah,
is not a very fair onus to put on yourself.
So why are people then setting New Year's resolutions?
So that's donut theory, mate.
Donut theory, fantastic. So tell me something, just a question then. Is it people are setting New Year's resolutions, or for want of a better word, just out, like as we set goals, without the education to put them into practice or to move them forward?
Well, there's probably an element of that. Same thing, whether you're going to set an intention or you're going to set a resolution, you need to know how to achieve it. There's no point saying it. It's no good saying, I want to drive a Formula One car, to steal one of TL's metaphors, but then not have a plan in place on how to drive a Formula One car. So,
more so what I'm getting at is that why most New Year's resolutions within the first 2 weeks to 4 weeks are over?
No, I think that's a habit thing. We don't have the discipline to begin with. That's why we need it's a discipline. So if we had the discipline to stop everything on the spot and to go from 130 kilos to 90 kilos in a month, we wouldn't be in that position in the first place. So I think we kid ourselves a little bit, and it's because New Year's resolution is a societal thing. We're conditioned to that's what you do. But in truth, how can someone who has the discipline to let their body get into the shape that mine is turn around and go, righto, as of January 1, I don't think, eat, move, or have that mindset anymore. It's just gone. I don't think that's realistic, and that's why they all fail. And you're right, gyms live off it because I've worked in that industry. They don't make any money off the people who turn up. They only make money off the people who don't
turn up. Look, I'd have to disagree with you. In part, Cam.
I'm shocked.
Because I can. No, the reason is this, mate, is because I think, look, we all do things either to gain pleasure or avoidance of pain. All right, that's why we do things in life. One of those two things. And to say that goals fail for the lack of discipline or because we don't have the habit, I don't think that is an actual reason why they actually fail. I think that they haven't got the driving force behind them or the vision to achieve what they want to achieve, the passion. What is it that they're trying to achieve? And they're not using that goal.
Well, they've come up with it. No one's made them come up with it. It's their thing.
I think a lot of people do it out of, it's, the 1st of January and it's 12:01. I need to make a New Year's resolution. What's the thing I've most had the shits with myself about the year? Am I fat? Have I drank too much? Am I still smoking? Am I spending too much money shopping? Whatever it may be. They have to come up with a goal, and I think they're taking it a lot of people take it very lightly.
Because they don't have the habit or the discipline to get there, which is why setting them is a bad idea to begin with, in my opinion. And it needs to set an intention to get better. Set an intention to smoke less durries. Set an intention to drink no piss. But if you have one, it doesn't mean you have 1,000. You and I are actually on the same page, but where I think you're missing is the reason they're doing it is bad habits to begin with. The reason they're coming up with something because they feel like they have to is a bad habit.
Yeah. Okay. They're following the mainstream, following the norm, and so forth.
Which is a habit.
So why is it then that are we not choosing any day? Why is it we choose that day?
That's what
That's a good question.
Why is it we don't choose any day to do it? Because I quit smoking. I smoked from the age of 15 till, I don't know, probably about 8 years ago, 6 years ago. I smoked and I went to almost a packet a day, 2 packets a day. And it wasn't New Year's Eve when I quit.
We can see it on his face that he's a smoker, isn't it? Yeah. The sequel is still there. The consequence still there. It's going to take years to disappear, isn't it?
What the hell are you talking about? I look at this face every morning and go, you've got a face for radio.
The fact that you're 24 but look like a 60-year-old might have something
That's real estate, man.
No, but I think that you raise a very good questions. And this is the thing that I would like us to have a look at. New Year resolutions really started a long time ago, and it actually was based on a religious belief that there was an exchange between the gods and yourself. And that usually starts at some point in time. The Romans were the first that actually set January as the first day when the gods were going to trade some of the things with you.
Bloody Romans.
It is true that some people would be hoping to have the God smile on them and help them change without them paying the effort the way that Cam said, on the first day of the year. And so the basis of New Year resolution, and rather than people starting a habit on the 12th of November, is that they believe that the first of the first is so powerful because somewhere up there, the gods are having a meeting and deciding what they're going to do for you.
Same people believe in magic beans and all that sort of stuff, mate. Yeah.
And so you'll never let go of that. So there's an element of hope. So when I say, for example, I am going to go healthy, there is an element of hope that I will be able to keep it. That if somewhere the gods are really smiling upon me, that the gods are going to really help me go there. Now, why is it that some people mix resolutions with hope? That is up to them. It depends on the nature of the person. You may say whether they're lazy or they're hard worker, they're going to think differently. But then now I'm going to ask you this, guys. What about resolutions and goals? Are they the same thing?
Yes. No. Well, yes.
Is it yes or no? Because I think that he's punting on both sides.
No, yes. Well, I was about to ask, do you think enough people know what resolution actually means, like the dictionary definition of resolution, which some people...
I think it is the same thing, but tell me what resolution is.
Well, I don't. I'm asking the question. Okay. So the reason people say I'm going to have a New Year's resolution is because that's the popular thing. But ask some of those people what their interpretation of a resolution is. I mean, it's resolving not to do something, or it's resolving to do something. It's steadfast. It's meant to be.
It's a goal. So I think it is. I think the resolution and a goal is the same thing.
Do you think so?
He's about to argue with you.
I'm just asking, do you think so?
Glad I said both.
So, for example, if I have a resolution for 2020 to lose 2 kilos, should I continue on my good habits after I've lost the 2 kilos? Therefore, should it become a goal? Because a goal is something that you attain. Once you obtain, maybe you don't have to keep on these good routines or the good habits that Cameron was talking about.
The same thing is when with a resolution. I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing spoken different words. I think it is. With a no, seriously, with a resolution. If you say I'm going to lose 5 kilos this by end of January, I can go. I'm going to set a goal to lose 5 kilos by the end of January.
Yeah, but then what happens when you get there?
Well, it's like any goal or any resolution. You can choose to continue. You can choose to continue that. Or you've lost
tough
it.
pills today, haven't you?
You've lost it. Yeah, fucking oath, mate. You've lost your weight. You've lost that 5 kilos. And then you continue on how you want. If you want to continue another 5 or you want to sustain that weight, that's totally up to you.
Then the resolution should be, I am going to lose 5 kilos and keep it off.
That's not the question. The question was, is a goal and a resolution the same thing? Because a goal should be the same thing. I want to lose 5 kilos and keep it off.
Or is a resolution something when you...
So I'm planning on taking a week holiday to Hawaii this year. Is that a goal? Is that a resolution?
Goal.
I think it could be a resolution as well. I think if you on
Boys,
New Year's
if
Eve,
we are not fucking clear about what resolution is,
I
this
think it's the
fucking
same.
podcast is doomed.
I think a goal is something you do your best to achieve.
right?
And set parameters along
Why
the
not
way.
for a resolution the same
Because
thing?
of the meaning of the word. If I resolve to do something, it's black and white. It's done.
So you're telling me your goal's not black and white? It's done.
Well, we all know the variables that can come into the goal
It's the
setting
same variables
process.
can come in the resolution.
Why are you
process.
fighting us, mate? We're all on the same page.
Look, we're all going to go one way. It's going to be a boring fucking podcast, right?
If they were the same thing, why would they have different
No, but
names?
no. I think, yeah, I understand.
You know what? I think the difference. I think the difference is the time of year that you're setting it.
Someone's at a week
You
off.
set it on New Year's Eve. It's a resolution. You set it 2 weeks later. It's a goal.
Okay. Let's agree to disagree, all right? I believe that a goal has got a determined and specific end point. Resolution for 2020, I think, is about the actions that you'll do for the entire year.
Okay.
And
You're wrong.
So no. I'm not saying that Chris is wrong.
I am.
I'm only yeah, that's good. So
I've been wrong before.
Give it to him, TL. Give it to him.
let's have a look at these resolutions. Why do people pick certain resolutions?
Because they feel like they have to.
Yeah, I think it is a mainstream sort of perception at New Year's Eve, as I said before, that you pick a resolution for the 12 months.
So we know already the ones that just pick one for the sake of having one, they'll never make it.
That's right.
Okay? I'm talking about the ones that really take a concerted effort to sit down, even listen to something like this and go, you know what? I freaking never had any idea about what resolution was about, and do something about it. And on the 31st of December 2020, can really have a glass of champagne and celebrate the fact that, yes, I stuck to it. I've won. It cost me 1 year of my life, but I did it. It didn't cost me 1 year of my life, and I didn't do it.
So do you think having them is a good idea then? Because that goes back to what I was saying. I don't think they're a good idea. To those people, I would say don't have a resolution. Have something you're trying to get better at, plan out to get there, and don't bash yourself if you slip up every now and again, because we're humans.
I think that you and I, we understand each other, talk about a lot of things together. So we have resolution almost every single time we talk. But there are people who don't have that privilege. Mm-hmm. There are people who don't have the association that's going to constantly remind them, hey, this is the direction. And so if once a year they have to sit down 2 or 3 days or 2 weeks before the end of the year and really relive the entire life as if they were going through a fast motion movie of their life in 2019 and decided, no, I don't ever want to have that again. I think it's beneficial to them.
I don't think a lot of people got that hindsight or don't have the insight.
No, that's what he's saying. He doesn't have not everyone is lucky enough to have the association that we've got to educate, which goes back to something you were saying before. Are people not educated enough on it? But I guess I can see what TL's saying. At least, while I don't agree that we should be doing it, if that's the best they've got at the time, then go for it, because it's better than sitting there doing nothing.
It's true.
It's 100% better than going, you know what, fuck 2020, I'm not doing anything.
True story. Before I found real estate, before I was fortunate enough to come into this industry, I was wandering in the wilderness. I didn't know about personal growth, about these books or Anthony Robbins, and I was like the rest of the population on New Year's Eve. I'd set a New Year's resolution, and most of the time I said it when I was pissed and woke up the next morning and forgot what I'd said, and so forth and so forth. And I'm very fortunate now. I've read the books that I've read and talked to the people I've spoken to be able to understand how to set a goal or a resolution, whichever way you want to call it, and then proceed forward to try and achieve that. But I think, unfortunately, the majority of it is the lack of knowledge or association by the majority of people out there.
Yeah, I agree. Mate, it's pretty honest from you. That's nice. So why don't we
Bigfoot
just
is real.
have a look at the second bottles, boy?
Dinola
Maybe
wandering
it'll be
through the world.
Dinola's. That's the one, yeah?
All right, I bought my favourite wine region in Australia is the Coonawarra. I bought a San Hugo's Coonawarra Cap Sav,
Yep.
and I believe it was the same way that
Made
wine
famous
that
by the last wine and wisdom.
Mr.
Choose your original.
And Troy would have walked into the bottle shop and go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
No, he actually asked
He grabbed
the
an
dude.
attendant and
Oh,
said,
wow.
Yeah, he was smart.
And the attendant said, eeny, meeny, mo. But,
hey, don't
so
you say things.
I actually really enjoy the St. Hugo's. It's a 2016. It was actually from the same vintage as Troy bought in. It's a really nice drop of Cap Sav. I really enjoy this wine. It's a go-to when I've got a really nice meal coming up. It never fails.
Apparently
Never
it's
had a
your
bad
go-to
one.
on a 53-degree day. What are we doing?
No, listen, mate. We in air conditioning. You see it. You're gonna love it. Let's open it. He's gonna love it.
Still trying to get over images of Chris walking through the wilderness. Loincloth, mate. Bigfoot
I
is real.
can't believe that he did not invite you to the Hunter Valley, the bastard. And he calls himself your mate on the podcast
Mate.
of Wine Wisdom.
We had
And- no, do you know when he says
We
mate?
had a full bus until certain people didn't attend. So
Mate, I
I'm
didn't get
very
the late
sorry.
call in. I'm sorry.
Hey,
You know,
we didn't know, mate, until we got there.
Still didn't get the late call. Mate, I'm only an hour and a half from the Hunter.
What are you talking about? I drove to your joint today, mate. It's 3 hours the wrong
Yeah,
direction.
you drive the wrong car.
I did Rita lend you hers again, did she? Hey,
I have to say, it is the dirtiest cow on the planet.
mine.
Oh, I'm
He's
serious.
got problems. I can help germaphobes. Anyone a germaphobe, come for a ride in my car. I had to convince Thomas he wasn't going to catch something fatal. When he
Driving
got
in your car.
Yeah. Mate, it's my workplace.
It should be clean.
Someone said once the messier
Oh, it should be tidy.
everything is. The,
Anyway, this is my advice to home sellers in 2020. Before you pick your agent, check their car. Go check their car. Because if they don't actually look after their precious belonging, their office,
it's only a car, mate. My office is
right? Chances are your place is going to be trashed.
Cheers, boys.
All right, let's try this one.
tastes familiar.
It's nice.
I feel like I've had this one before.
It's a
Six
guaranteed
days
good
ago.
go-to.
I got this deja vu. We'll try not to
Guaranteed.
send it all over the desk.
It's good.
It's a nice
Cab
one.
Sav with some nice cheese and some cured meats and some beautiful bread. How can you go wrong? Good mates.
No, you can't go wrong.
Delicious.
Going back on track. What advice would you give to these people setting New Year's resolutions? Is it a little bit of preliminary work leading into the new year that would...
I don't know whether you guys agree or not, but the process I laid out before. Well, no one said anything about.
He's
my,
already predicted.
No one said anything about my donut theory, but I
No,
think
your 21 days
starts with
habits, 21 days to make a habit, right?
No, yeah, but it's not
it
even-
is 21 days, right, to make a habit?
You need
Some
to
places say 66, remember?
you need to look back at the year to begin with. There's no good plucking something out of thin air for 2020. You need to look back at the year you've just had. Find the bits that you need to improve. That's what the basis of your resolution has to be on, I believe. And then prior to January the 1st, you have to have set a plan on or done some research or looked around at how you're actually going to achieve that plan. Like I said, if your goal is to be a better negotiator, you better be looking up what books.
Hang on. So was it a goal or was it a resolution?
I don't care. I don't do it. It's an intention. For me, it's an intention. The intention for me last year was to be the first quarter of last year. My intention was to up my skill out of the SMS. Skill was a thing. So I bought sales books for the month.
So let's go back just one step. Let's qualify how we set, let's say, a goal. It has to be measurable.
Yeah, but that's a goal. You're talking about still resolution. So
But would that not be then the
He
same?
still wants to prove himself
Okay,
right
no,
about the goal.
I don't. I just can't separate
no.
the two.
So
Chris, he said
well,
you're-
but you just asked a question, right? He's answered. Fuck it. Can I just answer the two?
Go.
All right.
It is your podcast.
Shut up about your goals.
So first of all, before I start, I just want to say I agree with all the things that Cameron didn't say.
You love donuts, mate. We've lost a Noah. We've lost a big
I
fella.
start crying, man. He's used the tissue. To
He's
wipe our
copying
tears.
Troy again. Hey,
Shut up.
Hey,
you brought his
so-
wine. You're crying on camera.
How can I say this? I think that one of us, if it wasn't you, who said earlier, we have to be aware and pay attention to us and what has happened to 2019.
Sounds
I
like
think we
something I'd
need to
say.
pay attention to what is it that we are becoming and who we are. Because ultimately, this is my belief, I truly believe that ultimately the aim of a human being is somehow to find not peace, not happiness, but to just find that place where things just flow and that there are really no lasting challenges in our mind. And so when you know really, and it's different for you, it's different to someone like me, it's very different to someone like Cameron, it's different to someone who hasn't got any children. So unless they know where they're at, they don't really know what they want. And when they know what they really want, resolution's easy, right? So, for example, in the podcast I had with you, I actually shared with you that things I really aim to do now is be, just live life, so to be. And so many of my resolutions are going to go around that. And if I was to share my resolutions with you, you guys probably say that it doesn't make sense to you. But to someone like me who's lived a while, who has seen for many years the things that I have gathered and bought and went out there to challenge myself to win, did not change much of my life, and now how I've seen the importance of the being and how it's made a difference to my life, and how being is now so important, because obviously having lived for so many years trying to just make other people happy, time for beings just hit me. The resolution's very different. And that's the recipe, is that the resolutions, like goals now, should not be the things that other people impose upon us. It should be the things that we have decided for ourselves because we have taken stock of who we are, where we are at this point of life.
You can't set the map, you can't set the GPS to get to Brisbane unless you know your starting point. It won't tell
Yes.
you. Yeah?
Nice
That's
one.
what
I
we're
like
saying.
that one. You stole it from
No, well, you used to
From
use
Mr. GPS.
You used to use a GPS. You used to use a
Yeah,
GPS
I know,
analogy
I was-
a long time ago.
I know,
But
I was
in
sharing.
this circumstance,
Read a book this morning that had that
for
analogy in it.
me to get home, it has to know that I'm here to begin with.
Yep.
So
seriously, guys, the wine's starting to give. It's crazy. Taste it now. Have a sip now. It's great.
he's trying to shut me up.
Shit. He found my trick.
Have another drink, Cam.
You know the funny thing? He picked his glass straight up when he said it.
Mate, it'd be rude not to. Has anyone ever seen me knock back a
Shut your
drink?
mouth and drink the
Do you know
wine.
why this guy loves the podcast so much? Because he knows after this he's gonna have a meal in my place, a prick. and I love it. You know how he goes, "Oh, I've got nothing after this, mate. Everything's been erased, mate. I have given my family away." I love it, but it's all right.
You know the funny thing is with Cam, his face is usually red, but it does go like a crimson when he does get embarrassed with things.
I'm Wasbury colours, mate. We're good. I'm not embarrassed. It's fucking hot in here.
And we're drinking red wine and it's
Yeah,
50
it's
degrees.
57 degrees.
Man up.
But I agree with what you said right at the beginning, that resolutions really depend on our routines and habits. You can have a resolution, but if you really think that the gods are going to do it for you, you got it wrong. You're going to have to start changing the things that you do. And a lot of people want the resolutions and their wishes are very strong. Their wishes are very strong for the first few days of the new year, but their habits haven't changed.
So what
their
do you-
routines haven't changed.
What do you think about then for those people to give themselves a break,
Yeah.
to not set a hard and fast resolution, to set an intention? Because it can be soul destroying for certain people to keep saying, I'm going to do this, and never do it.
Yeah. And not attaining it straight away.
That stuff builds up in the memory bank and in the subconscious and manifests itself in many different
Yeah.
ways. So to people who may be listening to this or slightly more aware than others, would you say don't set a resolution, set yourself some tasks?
No, I still think that you need to to set yourself a resolution. I think it's a shame that you set resolution for the new year rather than any time that you've just taken stock of your awareness and found out what you really need.
That's my biggest
So-
thing on it. If you
But in the end, it's better to do it than not to do it. The key is to sit down and pay attention to really where you at. Unless you know where you at, it doesn't really matter. And to me, taking 2 or 3 days at the end of a year and sit down, think about, all right, what is it that I really want? Where am I? What's my weaknesses? What my strength? And start from there. There's no point. You're going to have resolutions that just for the sake of it.
There's an article, and we might be able to put it in the show notes. Actually, there's a blog post from Tim Ferriss who wrote Tools of Titans and Book of Mentors and those things.
Book,
Yeah, so he has a podcast segment on New Year's resolutions, and it's where I got the idea for looking back rather than looking forward. And he doesn't call it New Year's resolutions, he calls it a post-year review, and he lays out a step-by-step process for going back through your year and finding exactly what Thomas is talking about, find out exactly where you're at now so that you're not just throwing something out there for 2020 that may have nothing to do with your current state of being. I can, if I get up and say I'm going to be an NRL player by the end of the year, but I can't walk, we've got a problem.
If you're Shaquille O'Neal and you want to be a jockey, it's not going to happen.
My ambitions and abilities are slightly mixed up. There's a step-by-step process to it, which might be able to help some people if we can't do it today.
I think that for me, to make sure that our New Year resolutions work, let's say I'm a salesperson. I want to become a successful salesperson. If I was a business owner, I want to have profit on a consistent basis.
What's that?
Then,
sorry, I choked.
we have to be very careful about what we say, because that also belongs to the negative news.
Our subconscious is always listening. We're always listening.
So
to
the dude's made $500,000 this year. He's gonna probably lose all of it, but it's okay, man.
Because he bought too much white wine.
Bloody
Listen,
one! I asked for 6 bottles.
When the guy can go and buy himself $600 of wine at one winery, serious.
And still not invite his mate to the Christmas party?
Yeah.
I did, mate.
So you have to ask.
Like, it took you all year to come up with a good one, but you finally got there. And I
It's
asked you
true,
to,
he invited me.
and I asked him to my house.
As
Unbelievable.
a mate, I asked him, where's Chris?
I want to know if it was worth missing out on the 140-foot yacht on the harbour, mate. That's
Actually, the yacht happened a week before.
Oh, so you went to both?
So no, I wasn't around anyway, so I would never have been there.
There you go.
It's,
Actually, he didn't get on the bus, so there was a seat for you. Oh, sorry, buddy.
fuck you.
Listen, mate, you would have had a seat in my car. It was much nicer. Listen, they were fighting from the bus to try to get into my car, so you don't have to worry about him.
The dragon.
So he is lying to you.
I know.
The truth is, he forgot.
No, his wife gave me an invite, but I said, I want it to come from Cam.
Keep waiting, bro.
Yeah, so going back to our resolutions.
2020. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Going back to our resolutions, boys, I think that people need to set themselves up one step at a time.
Yeah.
And here is now how goals come in. So if I was to go and say to myself, right, my New Year resolution to become a great salesperson is I believe in training. I am now going to train 1 hour a day, every single day. You still want to measure it. There's no point training and seeing that at the end of January, well, your results were as bad as last year. But then you don't give up on your resolution. You actually sit down and go, all right, what is it that I'm not doing right? Oh, yes, I've been doing training the way I've done last year. And real training should really be tough. And I said to people, there's nothing good in training. There's only something great in great training. So unless you can train great, don't train. So, okay, now let's go from here on and train in February by doing something like this. And so the resolution drives you day by day, but you actually may be making some implementation to rectify your course in order to reach a level that's going to show that your resolution's working. So resolution's not enough per se, right? You still have to have those markers to see that, yeah, you're getting there. That's how people go on. Do you know I can lose weight any day? Now, I don't lose weight because it's not any day that I want to lose weight, because mainly I don't. But if I start to get onto my scale and my scale sends my iWatch information by the day, I lose 250 to 500 grams a day. That's to tell you how much I still have to lose. But
It's going to be a while, folks.
But the minute that I don't keep my eyes on them, it's finished. So for me, if I was going to lose 10 kilos next year, all I have to say to myself is my resolution is now going to put myself on the scale every single day.
Yeah, right.
So the process becomes the resolution, not the result.
How nice is that, isn't it? I've done it many times, works all the time.
Don't argue with him, Chris.
I'm not. I'm not.
You can argue with me. Listen.
We say that in lots of things, though. So when we're talking to salespeople or training salespeople, our mantra is focus on the process, not on the result.
And
that's
the same thing. For myself, just recently, I said, I wanted to read more, not just listen to audio books and so forth. I wanted to read more. So since from the beginning of the holiday, what can I do? Wake up, I want to read for half an hour. That's all. For half an hour. Wake up half an hour early. So what I'm doing, I'm waking up half an hour early so I can read more.
Yeah.
It's simple, but I knew the process, what I had to do to try and fit that in. I'm no good at reading at night time because I don't want to. Read of a morning, fit that in, work out the process to make that happen, and that's what I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Well done. Yeah. I've got a Where's Wally book you can borrow.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. Find the pretty pictures.
Yes, but again, as I was talking to someone 2 days ago on goal setting, reading without taking action is useless. And I was telling that person, stop putting on your goals, I'm going to read one book a week. He was telling me I'm going to read one book a week. And I said, no, don't. I said to him, take it from a guy whose goals last year was to read 50 books. And I read 35 or 37. And I said, you put me any one of those 35 beside maybe one or two that really hit me that year. I can't really tell you word for word what's in it. So wouldn't it make more sense to just read one book and know everything? I mean, as a matter of fact, for the moment, in the last month, I've been going through that same single book on Stoics. And sometimes that one page on Stoics just keeps my mind so focused for the day. There are 20 pages from any book couldn't.
Yeah.
So be very careful about just reading for the sake of activity, I said to him, because a lot of people read so that by the end of the week they can go, that's one. That's two. No.
Just to click at the calendar.
Yeah. I'd rather you say to me, I've read one book. But Thomas, you can argue with me any pages of the book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Be careful of that, big fella. I fell into that trap. Last year, I think mine was not one book a week, but one book a month. And I was already behind by the fourth month of the year. But part of the thing was I got stuck on one of the books. I needed to keep reading that book. But because I'd set it as I'm going to read one book, I felt like shit because I didn't. But reading that book over and over and over again for 3 months did way more than reading 12 books in that year ever could have.
So that brings you back to, I ate one donut, but I'm not going to stop.
No, and it's, I read something every day. I haven't read this year. I haven't read much in the last, since probably June, to be honest. I've overload of information and lots going on and there's only so much space in this limited brain of mine, so I haven't read much of substance for 6 months, but I have read a little bit every day, and it's probably been the same book, Thomas. It's been the Stoic book, but just to get the day off right. But I haven't sat there. I know that if I read something now trying to learn from it, I'd probably waste my time because I probably wouldn't take in the information in the state that I'm currently in. So I haven't gone there because it's a waste. A lot of energy in reading a book.
So in saying that then, you knowing it's a waste, you still read?
I still read, but I don't read. So I haven't picked up a new book and said, I'm going to learn this month, because I don't think...
So you're going through the process then?
But I've got a book that has a different essay for every day of the year. In the morning, I'll still read a page of that because that's just setting myself up for the day. It's keeping knowledge coming in, but it's not me sitting there saying I'm going to read, I don't know, pick a book, legacy or something with a defined topic and a defined goal at the end of that book is to learn this. I've actually found myself, because of what's happened this year, especially because of, I mentioned before, we put 5 new staff on. I've gone back over old books that I read prior to hiring to make sure that I wasn't missing. I've been checking myself. You can't just keep picking up books for the sake of picking up books. You won't learn. Yes, you'll be able to turn up and go, I've read 17 books this year. Tell me something about them.
But then writing notes on those books, and we're using books as an example, obviously, writing notes on those books as you're going through and you're highlighting paragraphs and so forth, would then be along the lines of really starting to learn and study those books. Yes?
It's like,
no. Until you take action.
Until you do what it says. There's no good having the knowledge. And that comes back to...
drowning in knowledge, starving for wisdom.
Yeah, and it comes back to setting a resolution without looking at the tools that you need to get there. If you knew how to do it, you would have already done it, unless you're an idiot. If you know how to do something that's going to make your life better and then don't do it, you're an idiot, all right? I put myself in that category. I know I should eat better, exercise more and drink less. I don't. I'm an idiot. But fuck, I have a good time. So you need the knowledge first, but then you need to act on it. Otherwise, you've just wasted everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But also before you can act, you need the knowledge. It's Can't just say I'm going to do something if you don't know how to do it.
But a lot of people have the knowledge. A lot of people have the understanding. But do you think then they're lacking something else in that?
They don't really care. Whatever they've picked, they don't really care about.
Oh, they don't really care, or life has not imposed upon them the conditions to do it. For example, if someone had lung cancer because they're smoking, trust me, they'll stop. They'll stop very quickly.
That's what I meant. By not really care, I meant the pain isn't great enough for it to actually mean something. So they've picked something out of the wind. Yeah, it'd be nice, but if it doesn't happen, so what?
So a lot of people may have already that knowledge to take action, but they don't take action. True?
Yeah. This covers absolutely everything.
Absolutely.
This is the fear of failure, the fear of all that sort of stuff.
The gain of pleasure, avoidance of pain. That's why we do two things in this world, right? So if they're not taking that action, is the pain not great enough or the pleasure not great enough for them to take that action? If they have the knowledge.
If they have the knowledge, the pain's not great enough for one. They don't really need whatever they're saying they're going to need, in my opinion.
Or the pain of changing is bigger than the pain they're going through.
So the pain of change is greater when they don't want to go through that to achieve.
I think we said in the very first. I think we said it in the very first podcast, whether it was the one we recorded or the one we didn't. But change is hard. Staying the same is hard. Choose your hard, and a lot of people choose the hard of staying the same.
I like that. Because choose your hard.
It's staying the same as you are is hard work because nobody's got their life exactly where they want it. Changing that is hard, and that's what we call paying the price. And a lot of people aren't willing or don't want to or don't have the people around them to do it.
All right, guys, let me interrupt you a little bit here for the piece of resistance. And that is the Yalumba, the signature Cabernet Sauvignon in Shiraz, the 46 vintage, 2015, 170-year-old house.
Wow.
Yalumba.
That's not under $50.
And this, I got it for under $50, but that is not under $50. But I got it for under $50. So it's whatever negotiation I've made that counts.
Sounds like the Melbourne Storm salary cap,
mate. So why don't we try this, boys? All right? No, Cameron, you're the youngest, so you wait.
I am the youngest by quite some way.
Really?
Yeah, quite some way.
I'm very sorry, Chris, that we have 14-year-old doing the podcast. I promise you that's the last time.
I'm here for the...
How old are you, Cam?
37.
Why do you look
I'm here to let you guys know everything from the 90s onwards because you're oblivious.
The 67-year-old look is because of all the
I
JD he's had.
I haven't aged since I was 14. I was the guy that the guys at school used to...
Because of Jack Daniels.
I haven't been asked for
mate.
I haven't been asked for ID since I was 14 either. I was the guy they used to send into the bottle shop to buy the 6-packs for camp.
All right, boys, so have a look at this. Barossa Valley, the wine is their signature.
Merry Christmas.
Like anyone who wants to have something great for Christmas, Yalumba, signature.
Yalumba.
Come on, tell me that it's not from the beginning right to the end.
Well, the fore palate is a little bit, but the mid palate.
That is nice, man.
How nice
try it with a bit
is
of blue
that?
cheese.
Absolutely, with the blue cheese, you do
cheese.
very, very well. So where were we?
We got into a big thing about reading. I was actually going to...
don't forget about reading.
I was going to suggest
Start doing.
Yeah.
One of the lessons of the Stoics is it says, sometimes you have to recognize that you've read enough. Yeah. Now start doing it. Yeah. And I thought, very good point.
We just had someone come and go from our office who brought in a new book every week and said, we've got to read this one. This one's going to be brilliant, Yeah.
When you say every week, was it every week?
Yeah, I think there was 3 books that she brought. She was there for 4 weeks. She brought in 3 books.
Had she read them? Or she's just
apparently. But there's massive gulf between reading and doing. Saying and doing, thinking and doing. Everything comes back to the doing. Don't have anything in life without action. I called them on it too because the first book she brought me, I went, okay. It was a big proponent of The Secret, but did nothing but talk shit all day about how broke they were and how much money they didn't have. And
this was the book?
Oh, the movie and the book, The Secret, but all about the law of attraction. And my biggest thing in life is the law of attraction. I said, why do you talk shit all day? But you were a fan of The Secret. So
you're attracting that shit to your life.
Big difference. Oh, mate. So we had to implement a fine system in the office for every time it came up. $5 in my pocket. Thank you for coming. So the book.
Yeah, but come on. Let's not talk about the people who've left, okay? Because
I was just using an example of talk and do.
Yeah, well, about that person or about people who come to you and talk about books, I always find this. People talk about the shit they don't do. The same thing I said to you a few days ago on my podcast. My signatures for a long time was love life. not because I want them to love life. It was because I wish I could love life. And then when I found a way to love life, mainly because after I went back to Belgium and told my parents, please let me live by my standards because I'm not loving in this way, I started to realize that I wasn't living life. I was still caught up into trying to make sure that my kids had everything and all my leaders had everything and the people who were around me that I worried about had everything, that I was forgetting about myself. And so live life is still my signature these days. And so quite often people who come to you and say to you, these are the books that I'm reading, they are actually crying for help. I mean, sometimes someone would come and say, this is the one book. I have no problem. But when they keep on doing it and there is a discrepancy between what they're saying and what they're doing, I take it as a cry for help. I would like us to do this for the end of this podcast. What are the things that we think in terms of resolution a salesperson should have in order to have 2020 great? And second part, the same thing for leaders. So let's start with the salespeople.
Leaders or salespeople for resolutions for 2020, I think the first thing is they should have association. And they should share those resolutions with some people that they look up to that will keep them accountable to holding to those resolutions.
So mine was going to be the same. So let's break that down though. So
No, you can't have the same. You've got to pick another one.
no, well, mine was going to be, well, I was going to break it down. Talk to a different person in the network every week was going to be my, you want to be, well, when I say...
Cam, I don't agree with that because, you'll get people who will cater to you.
The asterisk was going to be talk to someone who is doing what you want to do every week.
I need to talk to you because you'll give it to me how it is. You'll tell me an honest opinion, and there's others that I'll talk to, and they'll give me the sugar-coated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you're doing me justice.
Am I doing something that you would like to do though, on a certain level?
Not really.
But but regardless, I want to drink less. No, no, I'm joking.
How good is this drop though? Why are you talking about
it is good.
Beautiful.
How good
It
is
is
it?
good.
There's
But
no
what I'm
good,
saying,
there's no good them ringing.
Only $49.95.
There's no good. It's no good them calling someone who's been in the job 5 minutes.
and 100%.
That's what I'm.
100%.
Right,
And that's why I said someone they look up to that can
Yes.
help them get where they want to be.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Absolutely, mate. And I love you. You're a good mate. But at the end of the day, I could call someone who else I look up to, but they'll give me the edited version, not the straightforward version.
To your point, no one's going to know if they're going to get a pat on the back or the stuffed gift wrap for them until they make the call, mate. So the first step is you've still got to make the call. Yeah,
fair call. So that's a fair call, Cam. It's a fair call. How do you know if that person's going to give you the unabated advice or
until you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100 fair call.
I think for beginners or people who aren't used to doing it, pick the guys at the top of the leaderboard. Call them. You got to start somewhere. Your odds increase. It doesn't mean that you're going to get.
Yeah,
the right advice.
Yeah, a lot of people make the mistake with association. They call or they talk to the people who tell them the shit they want to hear.
yeah.
But you don't know that until you get there.
And when they're not hearing the shit that they want to hear, like, oh man, you're doing good, yes, poor you and all, they actually disconnect from it. But they don't realize that one of these days you'll wake up and you realize that, hold on, the key to association is not the advice. The key to association is, have I tested this person long enough to find out whether that person is a sound person for me to follow? If yes, then the shit they tell you that you don't like, follow. But if not, even if they tell you something that sounds great, don't, because there's probably something else in it. And so I think that the key to choosing someone in your association for 2020 is this person a person who's got a record of always, like not 90% of the time, but almost 100% of the time, always tell you exactly with the right intention of making you a better person. And intention should never be mixed with what reaction you're getting. Reaction could be because you've got the ego right now. That's why you're rejecting the advice. Reaction could be, you're not liking because it's going to take you too much effort to change that bit. It's always from that experience. And I think that when you're going to look at the association, you have to test the association.
I think the second part of that then too, and maybe it's rule number 2, once you've made the call, listen to what is said and do it. If you're told to do something, do it until you prove it wrong.
So you said before, very early on, was taking action.
Yeah. Well, you got to do it. You can't question it. Okay. I ring TL for advice. It doesn't get questioned. I haven't been able to prove him fucking wrong yet, but I've tried because I've done everything he said. And I don't know whether you can back me up on that or not. But if you're going to ring someone and they're going to say, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z, do fucking X, Y, and Z. Don't do A, B, C, and D, and then have the hide to ring the person back and go, oh, what you told me didn't work.
Because I didn't do F.
Yeah, or we never got to X, Y, and Z. Just do it. And if they're wrong, at least you can say, I did it, mate, it didn't work. But until you get to that point, I challenge my staff with it all the time. The easiest one in our office is make your first door knock by 8:45 in the morning. If you do that, you'll have 30 or 40 by lunchtime, and the rest of your day will be easy. Prove me wrong. And no one's been able to prove me wrong yet. I think a lot of the time, because of the ego and because of the whatever, they make the call to make themselves feel better. Yes, I've made the call. Congratulations, well done. Pat on the back. They've given me all this information. I'm going to do fuck all with it and then move on to the next person with another excuse. So first step, find your association. Second step, listen to it.
Use the advice.
Use it.
And take the advice.
Do it.
Take the action. Do the action.
Do
take
it
the
until...
Action. The action man.
I go even further. Do it until you fail because you want to prove them wrong.
That's what,
Because if you got a person with the intention of doing right by you, they'll fix it, right? And then that gives you a double proof that you are actually listening to the right person.
Yeah.
Prove them wrong. If you're going to be egotistical about it and you're going to go, well, I'm not sure about that, go, oh, I'm not sure about that, I'll show them, I'll do exactly what they say, and when it doesn't work, I'm going to spit it in their face. If you need to go in with that mentality, go in with that mentality, but just do what they're fucking telling you.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much more to that, mate. Find the right people
No,
to
I
hang
think
around.
that you've been you Cameron have been the epitome of association this year for me. I have to recognize it's the end of the year and it's now a third bottle, so I can put it on being pissed. There are times when I do hang up from a conversation with you where I say to myself, I think I've been a bit hard. I get it. If you know where I come from in terms of my education, I'd rather be hard and say what I need to say than you having to blame me because I didn't give you the right advice and dilute it to such an extent that you couldn't get the right advice, Because in the end, your success is fundamentally very important to me because you have a beautiful wife and you have 3 children who really count on you. And so when I give someone a piece of advice, I always know that there are all those people who are relying on that advice. Not just a game. So what's another piece of advice, boys?
Well, I've did one. He's done one. What's your one? Your turn.
You've done association.
Right.
What did he do?
Use the advice.
Use the advice
Action.
from the
Take
association.
action.
No, that's still into the association, right? Correct or not?
Well, I've given mine, so...
Come on. There's plenty. There's plenty.
But I think
there's plenty.
I think can
I think the
generalise
next
it,
one would be...
I think for me, do the work.
Yeah, it all comes into the same
I think that I look at our leaders year in, year out. We're about to go to another kickstart, right? And I'm sure that one of our next one is going to be kickstart. And
Don't you swear at me. Yeah.
And I see it. By the way, the term kickstart now is being used by other real estate trainers. So it's okay. It's good. Copying is, what is it?
It looks up
ultimate
to you.
form of
Compliment.
flattery. Yeah. So what I'm saying for the moment is this. We about to start a new year. You're going to get a plan. Freaking follow the plan.
Do it.
So work the plan during the break. And then follow the damn plan. Don't be so weak as to get out of your plan. Listen, have a look at these things that's happening right now with the fire. I'm sure our fire brigades, they are just amazing heroes. And you've heard any of them complain or say anything for the moment? No. I mean, the public and the media, you've never heard of one of them. It's crazy, but that's a real hero. Now, they go out there and do the stuff. And some of them are saying, to friends of mine who have been telling me that some of them, their face are burning. Their skin, from where they're standing, they know, they can smell the burn on the hair, on their facial, and they are not even complaining on the media. So go out there, set a plan like those firemen, and then follow the damn plan. This is the problem with a lot of us. We set up, first of all, weak plans, and because they're weak, as soon as something goes outside what we expect, we just throw our plans in the bin and we just become reactive. And so be proactive. Set a plan, follow it.
Make sure you want the answer. A lot of people ask a question not expecting to get the right answer back. And when they get the right information, go, oh, fuck, now I've got to do something. And then they go, they shit themselves because they're hoping for a pat on the back and you're doing the right thing. But someone wakes them up at 6 a.m. and says, go to work. And all of a sudden it's, wasn't expecting that. And all the plans go out the window again,
What Thomas said before is their action is harder than the situation they're in at that time. So
But they're going to have to go out there and do massive things. I realize that even in my own life, if you want something badly, just do everything towards it.
If you want it, yeah. If you want it. So I think we can generalise what we've said with, if you want something, find someone who's done it before you, ask them how they did it. When they tell you, copy it without question until you can prove otherwise. And that's the go-to-work bit. And I don't think there's much. I mean, there's lots of intricacies, there's lots of technicalities. We could rattle off 100,000 things,
the last
but
one would
it
be,
all comes down to that.
if you fall off the rails, get back on. If you trip, if you stumble, get back on. Don't let that minor, like you said, you've had one donuts at late
don't
20.
eat 6 donuts,
That's
bro.
because you had one. Don't let it stop you. Keep going. Get back on the horse and keep riding.
You've still got your arms and your legs and you can still breathe.
Yeah, but that's how weak we have become. And maybe that is one of the weaknesses social media has put into us, is that we have become so sensitive to failure, to criticism, to what people think of us, and to what is happening in our life, that when we get hit by one of them, and sensitivity is what is it, where before it took 10 hits to really get you down, now it only takes 5, and maybe tomorrow only 2.
We're turning speed bumps into mountains, mate.
Yeah.
And something that should just slow us down instead is fucking stopping us
Yeah.
and turning us the
Yeah.
other way,
I agree.
Can't. It's,
And you can't do this shit. You're going to
not
have
if
to
you
just
want it.
move on.
Not if you want it. And that's where people have got to have a gut check and be honest with themselves. If you want it, you can't let a speed bump turn into a mountain. If you don't really want it, man up.
Sure.
Say you don't really want it.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
And go that way. That's we can't make everybody want it. I think the key is, and the thing that shits me, and I know it shits a few other leaders, if you don't really want it, don't call other people and take up their time and ask for help and do whatever just to make yourself feel better, because it sucks the life out of the people you're doing it to. Work out if you want it. If you want it, listen, do it. There's nothing more to it. If you don't really want it, find something you want, because there's nothing going through life being unhappy either. Yeah.
My last resolutions for salespeople is make sure you have a attitude coach or attitude mentor. That's even better, but an attitude coach.
Not Christian.
We all go up and down. No, I think Crisinola is way better than Cameron. We all go up and down.
I'm Cam. I don't know who Cameron is. Get him to call back Cam. Don't be silly.
Anyway, so I go back. You need to make sure you have a coach that is an attitude coach. Why is that? I truly believe that as a salesperson, the only way forward is flat out. But when you go flat out, you're going to fall, you're going to fail, you're going to stumble, you're going to cry, you're going to think about quitting at some stage. And it takes that attitude coach to get you back on track, to give you perspective, to tell you, hold on, that is only a bump, not a mountain, like Cameron says. That it takes a coach that's going to show you a better way than the way you're going, because the way you're going is self-destructive. And I think that is something you must have for 2020.
But how do you find those people? Is that the same criteria as we just talked about association?
Absolutely the same criteria, but they have to get one. Because sometimes the coach for skills is not the same coach for self, not the same coach for mindset.
Maybe asking those around you. So for salespeople within the franchise and outside the franchise, ask people around you, who do you think I should be calling with outside your immediate connections for help? Because often they will know. Often they'll know who to call.
Again, narrowing it down to give yourself a better chance, the top of the leaderboard's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Because I know not everyone with skill has a great attitude, but to be the best of the best, you have to have it all or a good portion of all of it. So it's not for someone brand new who might not, I wasn't comfortable ringing anyone from the network for 6 to 9 months.
And you're an avid caller now. You call anyone for everyone.
Yeah, I just want to annoy the shit out of people. Go, give me something.
They actually call me and ask me to remove you from the leaders pairing.
Yeah, well, probably. I don't know if he was. I don't know if
Cam's lost for words,
nah.
and it's not the wine.
I had a conversation with.
I wasn't expecting that.
His face is going redder and redder.
I had a conversation with my leadership pairing a week ago now. It was the last conversation we've had, and he said, "Oh, you and I are very different. You seem very direct, and I'm not very direct, and that's why we haven't had as many conversations as we probably should have, because you intimidate me a bit, but you seem to be getting a lot further ahead. So how do you what advice have you got for me?" And it comes back to what Thomas said. My advice was, look, the biggest problem I have in the world is delivery. I know it. I have no tact. I'm working on it, but something is better off said with the wrong delivery than not said at all. Yeah. And I think the biggest difference between me and you is I'll still say it and deal with the consequences, because at least then it's said, then not say it and deal with the consequences of it never being said, which I think is far greater and far more damaging. The end of the conversation was, yep, righto, we're on the same page. Call you tomorrow. We're 9 days.
No phone call.
9 days. Oh, I got busy today. Oh, I got busy. Text message. I got busy today. It's wanting it. It's asking for the information and then dealing with the information you get. And some people just aren't there and don't want to hear what is being said. So, yeah, that's why I'll get removed from the leadership pairing.
So, hold on. Now we're about to get into the advices for a leader and the New Year resolution. So
Chris, you go
let's talk about that leadership pairing.
Yes.
Some people are taking leadership pairing as if it was, it's an exercise. No. Leadership pairing, if you notice, from the awards this year have been removed.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I don't think it's important, but because I think it is a prerequisite anyway for the leader of the year. If the leader of the year is not a giver, he's not a leader of the year. I don't give a shit the leader of the year runs a good team. He's not a giver. He's not the guy that is going out of his way to help others. Then stop telling me that your highest value is giving. If your highest value is just giving to your own blood or to your own team and not worry about people outside, strangers, is that really giving? Is giving really restricted to some kind of definition that is just about 1 meter around you? So I think that the leadership pairing is crucial.
I think leaders can fall into that. Well, we're all human and we're all been there, so we all fall into the same traps that we're saying about salespeople. A lot of leaders will call other leaders or give them a pat on the back and tell them they're doing a good job when they're not, because they're both in a similar predicament. And it makes it a never-ending cycle. You can't break free from the cycle until you know or meet or hang out with the person who's on the next level. And I think that's the challenge for leaders, because to be truly good at it, leadership, ego needs to be put aside, and it's something I'm trying to work on. I'm nowhere near there yet, but trying to work on. But a lot of leaders still, and in our network and in every other network, can't put their ego aside to say, I'm not as good at this as I should be. Can you help me? And we see it. The same people talk to the same people month on month. And
yeah, you complain about that. I know that. You keep on saying that, the same people seem to always go back to the same people, and then you never get to talking to them.
I had the conversation last week on the way home with Troy. I said, mate, you and I have never been paired, because he questioned me on it. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you and I have never been paired. It's a complaint, but it's more of a...
observation.
There's somewhere between complaint and observation. It's a forlornness. Like, there's so much information that everyone has to give, but if the same people keep hanging out with the same people, that information's been held hostage. Now, it's not always people who are mediocre hanging out with people who are mediocre. A lot of the time, I've noticed it's people who like each other hanging out with people who like each other.
Yep.
Okay? Now, that's fine. That's all well and good. But some of those people who like each other and may not like other people are hanging on to a wealth of information.
Yeah.
It's not only going to benefit them, but benefit their network as a whole. And
So
that,
the majority of people are
so if that turns into a complaint, then take it as a complaint. But it's more of a put your shit aside.
Yeah.
Put your shit aside and let's all get together on this. I made a point at the start of this year of picking people who I felt I rubbed the wrong way. And it was not because I wanted to be an arsehole. It was because
you do that naturally.
Let's break down those barriers. Mate, it's a long list. It's a long list. But let's break down those barriers so we can get together on a leadership level, because we're all owners of businesses.
But then it's simple. People are picking who they're comfortable with. It's simple, right? And people who are getting the answers they want, not what they need. So you're 100% right, Cam. People need to be picking people that they aren't usually picking, because that's stepping outside their comfort zone.
That's right.
It's not using it to what it's meant
100%,
to be.
mate. 100%.
It's not.
So so what you're saying first then is the leaders need to get uncomfortable.
With being uncomfortable, mate. They need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the moment.
I heard someone say, I want to inflict the comfortable and comfort the inflicted. Get outside your comfort zone.
That confused me.
No, that's all right. It takes a while.
No more.
Maybe not after 2 bottles and a half. Yeah.
It's not about, I think it's something we can influence from the inside. And I think one thing the podcast has been good for is breaking down those barriers. I know that from conversations I had on awards night and conversations I've had since then. People have come out and said, you're not as big a fuckwit as we thought you were. Let's have a conversation. And it's been brilliant for that. But it needs to keep going, because there's, in our network, and I know there's people that will listen to this from outside our network, but there's 26 officers and everyone needs each other's help, and everyone needs to get over, if I like this person or I don't like this person, because you're not going to fucking like everybody.
No.
Right? But you can fucking learn from everybody. Yeah.
So then your first piece of advice to the leaders would be pair with people that make you uncomfortable.
Pick up the phone to someone you've never picked up the phone to before.
And is that then an ego thing stopping them? I think you mentioned it before. Is that ego then stopping them?
Or they might just really not like something, but I don't know.
Okay. What about those leaders that don't take the pairing seriously?
Well, I think
then they shouldn't do it.
No, but
they
you
should
know what?
just
They don't
ask
take-
head office to remove them from it.
No,
No. Don't be on the list. If you don't. No, we need to live in a world of democracy. People have to be willing to be doing what they're doing. If you don't want or feel that you're up to it, or you're not gonna fucking even call back the person who's doing, don't fucking be there, because you're wasting that person's time. Listen, there is no excuse to this. And the only thing that you need to be doing is just go head office. Please remove me from that list. I belong to the list of fucking losers. Then we'll put you there. And what did I say about losers last time we had the podcast on the award winners?
Chris
The
wasn't
losers are the ones who can't get a lesson. So if you can't even really drive your mind to thinking that by talking to someone, there's always a lesson. Whether you get it or you receive it, sometimes you receive, sometimes you give. If you don't and you can't really understand it, don't be part of it. This is too important of a session for you to just rape it.
Do you think, though, yes, there's no excuse. Do you think, though, that some of the not taking it seriously and not caring about it has been brought about by the culture that we're talking about, where, well, it's always the same people talking to the same people, and it's, you know, if that goes on for long enough, people are potentially going to not give it a go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying,
What
Cam.
came first, the chicken or the egg? Them not caring about it, or the way that it's been?
Yeah, and then you could go down the lines of, well, we do implement a system where the system doesn't allow you to pair with someone that you've paired within the last 6 months and so forth. Yeah. I don't know, but people need to be doing that for themselves. And if they really want to grow and improve and resolutions and goals and whatever you want to call them, they need to step up and do it for themselves.
No, you have to be wanting to do it. It's a little bit like what we're doing
100%.
right now, boys. It's been weeks now, weeks on, weeks end. The three of us have been doing podcasts. I do learn a few shit from this, but it takes a toll on us. We have to drive here. We have to drink.
It's a 6 hour.
It's an event. People don't realize the lessons we get out of it.
Oh, it's huge.
You know, it's way bigger than whatever the prize we have to do. So if people really understood, when I do a leadership pairing, sometimes I get, sometimes I give. The surprise in life is I never know which one I'm going to get today.
Sometimes with a student, sometimes with a teacher.
That is the beautiful part. And so you have to approach the leadership pairing with that open mind. And only when you give 100% of yourself can you really either get or give, isn't it?
So what sort of resolution does that turn into then? Because we sort of took it away from resolution.
That if you really want to become a great leader, you have to change the mindset about give or get. And give leadership pairing 150%, not 100, 150. That you go out there more with a spirit of giving than getting.
So one of the goals I've had for the last 2 years, and resolutions. Well, actually, I can call this one a resolution because in 2018's award night, I said I will have the same team here at the 2019 awards night. I was determined that I was going to grow my leadership enough.
That's a good
that I
goal.
didn't have the same team. 2 weeks after the 2019 awards night, I don't have the same team. So should leaders be careful to set things that they're in control of?
Absolutely, because mainly you set a goal you were not in control of. How could you set a team based on people who can actually leave you without you consenting to them
Well,
leaving?
that's ego saying if I get my leadership good enough.
No, what I'm trying to say to you is this. You cannot set goals that you can't control.
Right.
Okay? So you can't set a goal based on the fact that you will have the same spark plugs or the same ties getting you to the end of the race.
Yeah.
I
The
think
key is to get to the end of the race. It may not be the same ties.
Yeah.
I think a simple resolution for a lot of leaders that I know is I resolve to train the team every day.
No, I don't think he's listening to what I just said. What did I just say?
Stuff you can control.
No, I didn't say that. What did I say?
You said.
I said you can't set a parameter of control on things you can't control.
Yes.
2 weeks out of the thing, one of the two guys left.
Mm-hmm.
All right? you can't control the guy.
No.
So to set even a goal based on the things that, he ran naked and felt sorry that the video went on and it showed that he had a little whatever. and therefore, you can't control that shit.
No, I get that.
Yeah, you get that. So you can't set goals or resolutions based on the stuff you can't control.
But training every day is something you can control.
Absolutely.
Training your team.
But what did he say? That next year I will have the same team. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
You can't control that bit.
No, I can't. No, so that one's gone. But what I'm saying is, so what I could set myself is,
Yep.
I resolve to train the team every day, which the result should be they're going to be the best I can possibly contribute to. We're talking about resolutions for leaders. What can leaders
But here's my next resolution, right? As a leader, we need to be doing the same shit or drive ourselves to the same extent in terms of discomfort that we ask of our people. Don't ask of our people to turn up before 8:30 if we turn up at 9:30. That is shit, mate. When I hear of leaders or when I see leaders who week in, week out, they turn up and they say, oh, yeah, you're right, I need to really be early. And they still turn up at 9:30. You deserve to have no team. Because if you're not understanding that when you go to your team and you say, we're going to really now start early and do all that stuff and you don't do it, your team's going to look at you and say, you're a liar. And so my next advice to leaders in 2020, do the things you say or stop fucking saying the shit you're not going to do.
Resolve to never ask anyone to do something that you're not doing yourself. Yeah?
Yeah.
Number one was use the leadership pairing for what it's meant to be.
Again, back
number
to
two is
again back to association. So first thing again, still association.
Number two is never ask one of your staff to do something you're not willing to do yourself, or they haven't seen you do yourself.
An absolutely fantastic sort of mindset.
And that's like I can speak to that because I don't door knock 400 doors a day, but my team have seen me do it in the past. When I've needed, they've seen me on the phones. Actually, sorry team if you're listening, you've never seen me door knock 400 doors in a day. But you've seen me prospecting. They've seen me do the do.
You get in the trenches. You get in the trenches, right?
I will never ask them to do something
You
I
get in
haven't
the
done
trenches
myself.
with them, right?
Yeah.
Simple.
And
The team has seen you do $150,000 in a quarter. The team has seen you just slave yourself thinking about ways of getting out of the rut when they still asleep. Yeah. That's leading by example. You don't have to do the same numbers because we all have different duties. The captain of a submarine doesn't freaking wash the dishes like the sailor who is in the kitchen.
No, but they have to have known at one point you wash the dishes, I feel.
I don't know.
At one point,
some captains
they don't have to see you
become captains without having to wash the dishes. What I'm trying to say is it is the values and the ethics of doing the job that is more important than the job itself.
And
do you think that every captain in a submarine know how to really capture the ultrasound of a submarine that has four blades to their
No, but if he had to, he would. That's
rotor?
the thing. The team needs to know that my team needs to know that if the dishes need washing and there's no one else to do it, I will wash the dishes.
I know what Thomas is. You're both saying the similar thing differently, but yeah. Thomas is going from a leadership perspective and you're coming from getting the trenches sort of legacy sort of perspective. But at the end of the day is the leader needs to lead by example.
That's
and he
why,
needs to get in there and get his hands dirty.
That's why a few days ago I heard of a guy saying to me, I won't mention his name, but the leader said, what's the best way of controlling the 400-pound gorillas? And that leader said, beat him. No. My response is build a team. If you build a team, you never have to be
held hostage.
Well, you won't have a 400-pound gorilla.
You've said that in a couple of your seminars.
And I've said it so many times, because how much energy have you got to compete with every little gorilla? There will always be a gorilla who's now 28-year-old who's going to try to show me how his way is better. Do I give a shit about that gorilla?
Not if you got the backups.
No, I don't need to go that way. So what I need to do is to play my game and get myself to a high level for that gorilla to go, hold on. I was thinking like a dicky gorilla right now. And maybe it's time for me now to really think as a real leader and see that what I was thinking was nothing else but my ego. When you have that, that's really the right leadership. So do I really have to jump in the trench and do way more than that gorilla to show him? Come on. When you're 60, do you really do that? Come on. So your response only has a certain age. That is not a permanent solution.
37, baby. So is number 3 then build a team?
You could say build a team, yeah. I have to say that in 2019, our leaders have been driven more by fear than by the need to be proactive.
We had a pretty scary market to contribute to that.
I understand that. You don't think that the Americans after Pearl Harbor has been sunk were really scared?
They showed their vulnerability at that time, so absolutely.
When over 3,000, I think, sailors died.
2,468. I watched a documentary yesterday.
Wow.
Well, my documentary is different. and some of those boats today are still every now and then leaking a bubble of oil, right, to the surface. So I'm just saying, you don't think that really they could have said, man, let's not go into this. Did you see the freaking beating they gave us? No. Real leaders step up, have a look at really the shit that they're really doing and change stuff. Not just look at what has happened, what has been to determine the course of tomorrow.
Don't let fear stop you.
So I think that, yes, leaders have to really follow that stuff. But I have to say that after a few days now of doing goal setting with quite a few team members, real leaders who want to have a great 2020 must have systems. Systems gets rid of waste of time.
So we're not having build a team, we're having build systems.
Yes.
Or implement systems.
I think that you have to have system first. There's no point having team.
Exactly.
I was having a meeting yesterday with an office, and I was telling Stuart, we need to have the new people do the system. One of the reasons why the new Boeing plane, did you see it? So they spent years into creating this new plane. Right, the Max Fly, what I played. And this plane now is being grounded because it had 2 accidents in less than 6 months or something and killed so many people. Now that's been found that Boeing never really built it properly.
Wow.
They didn't have a systems check, so not.
Yeah. They actually had people who said to them, this is not right, that's not right, and they didn't follow. So suddenly now what happened? Well, the entire thing's been grounded. Do you know how much money that's lost? The orders that's gone, that's burned, refunded?
Use a leadership pairing, sweep the sheds, implement systems, build a team. If you bring a team in without the right systems, and I'm feeling a bit of that as we speak, you can hire 10 people, but if you haven't got the systems to manage those 10 people, you're gone. So I'm feeling a bit of that now. So you've got a
great office, mate. I visited your office this morning, right? I reckon it's a crazy office. It's going to be an amazing office because you're going to touch down to Hornsby, right, from where you are. But if you don't have a system, we're wasting our time. Yeah. People are going to be calling, what do we do now? Where do we go for signage? What meeting do we have? Yeah. When do we have it? When do we sit? Someone said to me earlier, we didn't have our one-on-one meeting. It's going to happen on Friday. And when I know it's Wednesday, I know already, you're fucked. Because in my system, it's every Wednesday. And if one partner can't do it because he's sick, having a cold and watching now Netflix at home, the other one steps in and fucking do it. And that's how it happens in my book. So when I heard that partner saying to me, it's now going to happen on Friday, I go, you didn't get it. In my book, it happens on Wednesday. There was no excuse. You get it?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what procedure and system is about.
Yeah.
I had to ring old mate over here and say, give me your procedure manuals because I've just hired 5 people and it's already turned to shit. So not figuratively speaking, I've got a good bunch of people, mate.
On the way here, your wife actually happened to call, and I said, "All right, Crystal, tell me how is it going in the office? Why? Because I think that Crystal's got everything to become a great manager, if not even better manager and leader."
Not if she doesn't go to Kickstart, mate. She won't learn shit.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I was going to say to her, take the batteries out of your controller for your PlayStation. But anyway, and hold them hostage. I wasn't going to bring that up. I was waiting for someone else to bring that up.
Do you see how much of a shit stirrer is he? He just brings the point. He brings the point and he waits for you or I to freaking do it.
He knows what's there. He's waiting.
Who's the leader of the podcast now?
Don't let fear stop your brother. That's
what
I'm going to say.
Sweetheart. It was timing. It's called timing, champion. Yeah. I got my systems in place, mate.
To your point.
By the way, now he's talking about this. Is your wife coming to Kickstart?
I don't know, mate. I've wiped my hands of it.
Why not?
Well, because you two seem to have it covered.
Crystal and said 10 words.
No, Crystal and TL here. TL over here.
Okay,
mate.
no, I'm asking
she
you.
threw me under the bus. He backed me over. He ran over it 10 times. He's like,
can you just do me a favor?
I don't know.
She's
mate.
not in the room. You're the leader. What did we just say about leadership?
Yeah,
we had to make decisions. Is she going to be at Kickstart?
If she wants to be there, she can be there.
That's a husband answer.
What do you reckon? Should she be in the Kickstart, Chris?
The point that got missed on that whole podcast is that
there's a third person making decisions outside of that.
There's other people involved, one, but that's not the major point. Kickstart is predominantly, yes, there's goal setting, yes, there's some mindset stuff, Predominantly
Numbers and figures.
facts, figures, spreadsheets, future planning.
Yep.
The conversation with Crystal has always been, because of the structure of the business, she's not involved in the facts, figures and future planning numbers-wise of the business.
All right. Can I ask a simple question?
That was the... mate, I'd fucking love to have her there. So
I'll ask you a simple question. Simple question. Would her knowing that stuff help her do her job better?
I don't think so.
Okay, then that's the only answer.
Then the answer is no.
That's the only answer you need, mate. And that's why I asked you that simple.
But it's not the only answer I need,
No,
mate, because I've given that answer 57,000 times and it's still being replayed over and over and over. And it's not Crystal's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's me not being able to articulate it enough.
Yeah.
It's possibly holding back some things that could be said, should be said, aren't being said, and that's on all sides.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I'm in business with a business partner.
Yep.
We are responsible for the facts, figures, who we're going to hire, why we're going to hire them, figures that are involved in that. The simple answer is, does that help Crystal do her job? Not at this point in time.
Okay. Look, I don't know your business. Mr. T does. I don't know your business. And if that's the answer, champ, and it's not going to help her do her job any better, I agree with you.
Well, I don't, mate,
But I don't know like the business like Thomas does. I don't know your business like
Chad and
Thomas
I are
does.
business partners.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the system to add the back behind the scenes things. I understand all that. This is a simple question, mate, and that's why I didn't say anything previously. I like shit stirring, I like shit stirring.
Oh,
Your brother.
mate, the one thing I can't cop and stand is she's not there because she's not a leader, and that's not her title.
And that's not the opinion I had, mate.
And no, I'm not saying it's the opinion.
Yeah, I know.
They're the words that God said. There was so much more to the conversation than that.
I'm trying to bring it in a black and white fact for you. It's simple. Is it going to help her, regardless of the relationship? Is it going to help her to do her job better, being a Kickstart? No? Well, she shouldn't be a Kickstart. Simple. I agree with you then, mate. Simple.
Is looking at the figures ever good for anyone's anxiety? Is it? You're a sales manager. You go through it with Rob. Is looking at the figures ever good for anyone's anxiety?
Would it help her be a better partner to you, knowing goals and sort of things and so forth?
Knowing that we need to make this or we're in trouble.
I don't know. I don't know your business as well as Thomas does, mate. So
anyway, have we said enough about our leaders? The resolution for our leaders. Was there anything else?
I think we touched on 3 points for the leaders as well.
No, we got the 4.
Oh, we got the 4?
Leadership pairing, sweep the sheds.
That's right.
Implement systems.
Build a team, implement
build a
systems.
team. No, implement systems and build a team.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Was there a 5th one?
No, there's no 5th one. I think I said...
go to work. Number 5, go to fucking work.
Do what you said you do. Yeah. I think
Number 6, donate any wine donations to
that's probably,
the podcast.
that probably shouldn't be underestimated either. We were probably about to brush over it, but do what you said you would do. Dwizzywid.
If you say you're going to be train.
We got fines, the Dwizzywid fines in our office at the moment. Do what you said you would do. Anyone who says they're going to do something doesn't do it. Fines are in place. And I've seen it. I've been involved in an office that was like it. If you fucking say something, do it. Otherwise, team's gone instantly. Only takes once. So I think that's, along with sweeping the sheds, say something, do it. Otherwise, credibility, respect, everything's gone. And then to sit there and complain and expect loyalty after that. Hang on. You want them to do what they're saying they'll do. You want them to do their numbers. You want them to do this because they've committed to that. But you won't fucking stay true to your word. Anyway.
So let's recap and let's end with this. I want to thank both of you boys for the wine and wisdom. I think I've learned a lot from a lot of people along the way. David McSeveny has taught me a lot of things. I've learned enormous amount of things, even listening to Abdullah that I do know and I thought I knew him. But I have to say that doing the wine and wisdom with you two boys have actually taught me a lot of things about mateship, a lot of things about real friendship, that we don't have to be here for something in it for us, that we just here because we just want to be here for each other and share stuff. So I just want to thank you guys for 2019 and the contribution. I have grown from the association we've had over 2019. Can't wait to hear what we've got ahead in 2020. But I do know one thing for sure. If one mind is good, 3 minds that are working full speed can only be better. What have you guys given me? It's unbelievable. I'll cherish it. The good things about the podcast we're doing, that it actually stays way beyond our growth. Where do we drunk and where do we gone? One of these days when we gone, probably people are going to sit back and go, they were there. Sometimes I listen back and I think of the Bee Gees. There's only Barry left. They're all gone.
Yeah.
you know. And so one of these days, yeah, it's that's life. Two of us going to be gone, like you and Cameron going to be gone.
Mate,
That was going to come sooner or later. Had to be slipped in there.
you've both got 2 decades on me, so
I will say nice things about you.
I'll be there to piss on your graves.
All right. Well, we know who's saying our eulogy, so we're right there.
Yeah.
But the same with association, boys. It's lifted me in the last half of this year. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait.
I think it's a great thing, man. I've really, really enjoyed it without it being too much of a love-in. It's been fun, and to be able to speak your mind and to have people
100%.
react positively to it is a huge thing, and I've loved it. It is an effort, and you know we've probably spent. What do you reckon?
500
all the
bucks.
bottles of wine.
in cheese, wine,
500 bucks trying to impress each other.
Oh, cheese, bottle, wine, and petrol, except for Thomas because he gets lifts here every time. But the effort
Then he has
is.
to feed you.
I had to
afterwards.
feed you. Do you understand? That's way more than a fucking fuel, you prick.
The effort is so worth it, and it's enabled me. And we talked about earlier how you get your escape and how you give your mind a rest. For me, this type of stuff is it. And yes, we come down in the middle of the week, and yes, most people go, "Oh, you should be at fucking work." You know what? The fucking 4 or 5 hours it takes to knock one of these over keeps me going and lets us hopefully do some good in the world and get to hang out with you fucking freaks. So let's roll on 2020.
Love you, boys.
I think Thomas should resolve to bring some decent wine next year.
Oh.
It's not a goal, it's a plan, and I can put you in touch with some people. But
The things that people say after the third bottle, man.
rock and roll.
Listen,
Thanks,
boys,
boys.
I thank you so much for being here. I love you, mate.
Love you
too.
both.
See you in
Love you.
2020. I'm sure we're going to be back mid-January. Until
Yeah.
then, this is our time
Merry
with our
Christmas.
family.
Yeah.
I know we're going to hang around with each other.
Yeah.
My pool's bigger than yours, so maybe we'll have to do it at our place at some stage. But thank you so much for 2019. Let's say goodbye to 2019. Not with regrets. Those of us who've succeeded and who've done the most we could with 2019, fantastic. Those of us who haven't, let's make sure 2020, it's 2020.
We can always get better. Let's
That's
go.
exactly right.
20
Thank you so
plenty.
much, boys.
Awesome.